So family, this story comes from Portland, Oregon. New federal lawsuits have been filed against law enforcement and the city of Portland for the actions of law enforcement during the 2020 George Floyd protests. And so we find out that there are 3 lawsuits that were filed in federal court that were alleging civil rights violations and civil rights abuses that were perpetrated by federal law enforcement officers and also the Portland Police Department. And that doesn't shock me because PPB, or the Portland Police Bureau, has been under a federal consent decree. So they are mathematically a bad department because most departments are not under such a decree, but they are, which demonstrates a pattern and practice of them just absolutely abusing citizens. And you're talking about constitutional violations galore. The Constitution was essentially thrown out according to these federal officers and these Portland police officers. And we can even get into specific examples. Like, for example, on July 15th of 2020, Evelyn Bassey alleges that federal agents in an unmarked van abducted her for no reason, and she knew that she was not free to leave, and they forced her to sit cross-legged on the floor of the van with their hands behind her back, meaning that she was just picked up. Imagine how scary that is. Some random unmarked van with some people claiming to be federal agents, but you're not really sure about that, right? And she says that there were 2 armed people in camouflage with police patches on their chests. And they leapt from that van and they actually just picked her up off the streets. Imagine how scary that is. She thought that she was not going to see her son again. And then after about 5 to 10 minutes of driving, the complaint says that the van stopped and the officers searched Bassey before ultimately concluding she didn't fit the description of the person they were looking for. And they were sure to remind her that they had the power here. They said, quote, "You know, bro, we have cameras everywhere," end quote. And this woman has PTSD from that incident. And 2 lawsuits name, among others, Portland Police Bureau Detective Eric Kammerer, who is infamous with protesters for being particularly brutal. And so on May 23rd, Megan Opriek alleges that the Portland Police Bureau officers under Kammerer's leadership and acting within city policy fired rubber bullets at her on June 25th of 2020. And then Tyler Vontelius claims that Portland PD was brutal in general. America, these are your so-called heroes.